Good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Sunday morning here in Southwest Texas, and we're coming to you from outside today. I just thought it'd be too pretty not to be out here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pat Huff. I'm a retired middle school and high school principal, and work at the University of St. Thomas in Midtown Houston, and try to deal with accountability issues that are going on in our public education system. And the current series I've got going on now is called Saving the 95%. And this is the fourth part in a series of videos where I'm trying to bring attention and awareness to the fact that if we promote school choice all the time as the salvation for public education, then we're ignoring and we're leaving behind the 95%. So it's just very aggravating to me to hear President Trump talk consistently about school choice being what we need to go to for our option, our only option in saving public education. So, and I just want to talk about that again today from a different angle. Now, recently, Joe Biden came out with a campaign promise that really got to me, and he made a campaign promise that if he's elected president, not one dime will go to charter schools. Not one dime of federal money will go to charters. And that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The reason why is that Joe Biden, under President Obama, was part of the largest expansion of charter schools ever in our country. So what we have is a dual party commitment to school choice. And you've got to get that through your head. And this is what we have to change. It's been very frustrating for me for President Trump to go in this direction, because I just can't imagine why he would want to go in a direction that is exactly like President Obama, and before him, President Bush. And why would he want to be a part of an education plan that included that agenda? That's the deep state globalist agenda for education. And anybody who continues in that vein is just promoting that direction. So what we're going to get into today, and I just had to bring that out because it's just not going to happen. I just want to tell you that he can go ahead and former Vice President Biden can go ahead and proclaim that all he wants, but I guarantee you he won't go in that direction. So what is the deal with our accountability system and the promotion of school choice and the privatization movement that is happening across the country? There's just so much money to be made in public education, and if you can label a school a failure, then you can create a situation where people can make money. That's the bottom line. You create a whole system that is built around a rating, a test, and you create a situation where you have winners and losers. And when you have losers, then we have pressure that is applied, great pressure, and we have a situation where people make money. And now we've created laws to where school districts can be taken over by private entities, and school boards can be replaced by boards of managers. And so it's all built around this idea that we've got a school over here that's good, we call good. We've got a school over here that's called bad, and everything in between. And let me tell you real quick in this short video what it all boils down to. in terms of what the accountability system is based on. You can take a school report card, schools get report cards too, just like kids do, and districts get report cards. So you can take the entire report card that is based primarily on what the outcomes are on the state test, and you can boil it down to 4 demographic areas. And none of these 4 demographic areas have to do with ethnicity. Very important to understand that. They try to create a situation where, oh, over here they're bad, and of course they have a lot of minority populations. Over here they're good, and they're mainly white. And it's the game. It's the game that they're playing. So here are the 4 demographic areas, and you can chart a school's report card almost to the T according to how they come out with their outcomes and how they boil it down to these 4 demographic areas. And so here they are. The first demographic area that is of high importance is economically disadvantaged. Now everybody knows that, right? It's all about poverty, and those schools that have the higher rates of poverty have the more difficulty on the test. And that's not about ethnicity. It's about economic conditions. Who's in the home when the kid comes home? What's the gang situation in the neighborhood? What's the drug situation in the neighborhood? And the higher these percentages are in economically disadvantaged, the more challenges that the kids have, and therefore the more challenges that the school will have in trying to get their test scores up. The second category that's of primary importance is the percentage of kids that are English language learners, ELLs. It's kind of cut down now to just English learners, ELs. Well, the higher percentages that you have of ELs, the more difficulty you're going to have on the test, because they're learning the language, correct? All right? Now, those of us who just speak one language, like me, English, if I were to go down to Mexico and have to take a standardized test that was produced by the school and was in Spanish, you think I'm going to do very well? No, I'm not going to do very well at all, especially in the English, in the language portion. Okay, in the Spanish version of the test. Me as an English speaker, I'm not going to be able to do very well. Well, you have to realize that there's very little protection for EL students when they go into our public schools, because they have to take the test, and the test has to count toward the accountability. There's very little protection for them to not take the test. Now, the next category is special education. Now, why is that important? Well, a school can only protect 1% of their special education population from taking the test. 1%. So that boils down to your developmentally challenged kids and your severe and profound kids that get to be part of that 1% in the public school that of special education that does not have to take the test. And so that means the remainder of the special education population goes into the regular classroom, and they have to take the regular state test that is provided. Well, what kind of economic challenges, what kind of a challenge is that, an accountability challenge is that for the public schools? So that means that more money has to be spent in the regular ed classrooms to get the help that the regular ed teacher needs to teach the percentage of kids that she has in her class that are in special education. So that means more co-teachers, more helping teachers, and more help for that teacher so that she can get kids where they need to be by the time they take the test. The last area that is important to keep in mind for the accountability rating is the mobility rate. The number of kids that come in late to school, in other words, they enroll after the enrollment date, the start date, and then also the number of kids that leave school before the testing date. So a teacher will work with their kids all the way through school, all the way through the calendar year, and then they leave right before it's time to take the test, or somewhere in between. Or they come in late. They don't come in, they move in October, and they've already missed a great deal of what that teacher has done to prepare her regular age students, her regular classroom, for to get on board and take the test. So mobility rate is a huge factor, and any teacher can tell you this. It's very frustrating to get a kid late. It's very frustrating to have a kid leave early before they take the test. All your work goes out the window with that kid. So mobility rate has a huge factor, and where we find the highest mobility rates are in our Title I schools, especially schools that have a large percentage of kids that come from apartment complexes. Now, how would that play into mobility, you say? Well, a lot of people that are looking for a break on their income will look for apartment complexes that offer free rent for a month or two to get more people to move into their apartment complex. Therefore, the parent is going to want to get that free rent, and so they uproot, they move, and chances are that new apartment complex where they're moving to is out of the attendance zone of their old school that their kids were going to. And so they're gone. And it creates tremendous frustration for the teacher to have to deal with the mobility rate. Now, so you got economically disadvantaged, ELs, special education, and mobility. Those four categories determine a school's rating. That's it. And the challenges that the school has to meet the kids where they are creates the accountability rating that they're going to get after the outcomes come back from taking the test. Now, what does that mean toward our accountability system? We reward those schools that have very low percentages in those four categories because they have high outcomes, very good outcomes on the state test because the challenges are not as great, and we punish those Title I schools. They're all Title I that happen to have those issues. We punish those schools that don't do as well in those areas that have high percentages in those four demographic areas. So we're rewarding the affluent and we're punishing the poor. Now I ask you, what kind of a system is that? Would you call that a discriminatory accountability system? I think you would. I would too. And yet we continue with it year after year. And we think that we're doing right by the kids in our Title I schools by doing that. The old expression, never give in to the soft bigotry of lowered expectations. That was said by George W. Bush, right? A lot of you remember that. And it's picked up by Mike Morath, our TEA Education Commissioner, who is putting everything in place that is going to move us to the privatization of our public schools. And so if we want to save our public school system, I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. There's two things you have to do. And this will only happen through executive order, I think, from the president. We got Common Core through executive order in a roundabout way, through the waiver that President Obama issued through executive order. He did not have authority to issue that. I mean, he can because it's an executive order. But are you going to create a situation that puts the entire nation on Common Core through an executive order? You're not going to have any debate about it? And that was horrible. And now we're living with the effects of Common Core many years later. Well, President Trump, our president, who proclaims to be independent and not beholden to the money powers, could do it. He could do that as well. He could sign an executive order outlawing Common Core, giving control of curriculum back to the states and to the local the local education agency, the district, like it used to be. And the next thing you've got to outlaw through executive order is the accountability system. We can't have teachers teaching to a test that continues to dumb down our kids. It's a situation that has to be remedied, and the governors, unfortunately, are not going to do it. Our governors are bought. They're bought by the globalists. They're bought by those agencies that make money from deficient outcomes in our Title I schools, and they're not going to change it. There's too much money to be made in charter school education. You don't get a better education by going to a charter school. They have Common Core too. They have Common Core too. Please get that through your head. All you get is a different environment. And that might be good for a lot of people that are in a tough, very tough situation. But it's not going to solve the academic issues with our kids by going to a charter. It's not going to happen. So, just want to leave that thought with you for today. Fantastic day down here, a beautiful pre-fall day here in Texas, north of the Houston area. And I hope everybody is doing well. Schools are open. Teachers are teaching. Some of them are online. Some of them are there in the school. They're doing a bang-up job trying to get it done. Very challenging. So our heart goes out to the teachers, to all the kids that are dealing with our situation now. But let's keep in mind as we go through it how we can change our public school education system. It's a quick fix. It is a quick fix. But unfortunately, it's going to mean some people don't make the money that they used to make. Well, too bad. Too bad. We need to save our kids. We need to save our 95%. All right, y'all, get out there and make it a great day. It's a beautiful weekend. Talk to you next time.